Welcome to the shop. Somebody had asked me to do another tour of the shop, maybe in more detail, and I decided that I wanted to do a short video to test the new upload speed that I've gotten from switching to fiber optic rather than steel cable or copper cable. At any rate, so I thought I would do a little quick video on some of the things in this corner of the shop as opposed to the whole shop. And this corner is predominantly my hammers and mallets and that sort of thing, and that's what I thought I'd show you today. Just give you a basic tour of my beading instruments. The shop is organized in little groups of things so that whatever I'm looking for is all in the same area. But in this case, this extraneous space is perfect for hammers and things like that, because here's the door line, and I can actually reach. I'm tall enough to be able to grab one of the hammers, even though it's at 8 feet high up there, but I can get to them because they have long handles on the bottom of them. So I'm going to show you a few of these and explain them to you. I'll take them down and show you them. The ones that I use the most are on the front, and the ones that I use the least are behind the other ones. So starting with this is a Ballpeen hammer that I use a lot, and I use it often, and you can see that the head of it is very well polished, whereas some of my other Ballpeens, I'm not so concerned. But if I'm doing some fine work and I really don't want, I want a smooth surface after I've hit a piece of metal or something, I'll use this one. If I'm just peening over something, then that doesn't matter so much, and I'll use a different one that's not so highly polished. It took me a long time to get this sanded back, because this one here, this is a Vaughan, and it belonged to my father, and he didn't maintain it very well, but it's a nice weight, and it works very well. But I needed one that had a nice good polish on it. So behind that Ballpeen that I just showed you are two others. One is extremely heavy. Let's see, 16-inch machinist hammer from American hardware stores. And you can see the size of that head compared to this one. This is a massive weight, but it's great for really beating down some sort of metal. I also have on that same hook this this hatchet, which is interesting. I've had it for years. I rarely use it, and it's really I'm using it for just trimming off little sticks and things like that. But it's interesting. It's stamped handmade, and it has a nail pulling groove in it here, and I keep that around just for when I maybe want to make some kindling or something like that. I don't use it very often, but and that's why it's pretty much in the back of this rack. And my other Ballpeens are starting with the large, the medium, and then the smaller one that's fine. And the smoothest one is the one that I use the most. And I keep in front, which is this one here. But this is really a medium-sized one, even the one that says Vaughan on it, because some of them get much smaller. And on the next, you can see that I have more Ballpeens, and they get extremely small. I think you can see that size there. And I don't use all of these, but I also can't bear to throw them away now. Some of them have a very round ball here to peen. This one here is an exception. This one has an egg shape. It's not so perfectly round, so the dimple that it would give if I'm shaping metal, copper, or something like that, it would give me a smaller imprint and less flat. And there are variations on these, but that's what I would use this one for. So these are more Ballpeen hammers, going down to the smaller ones. And then the next thing that I have in there is a light blow hammer, rubber covered, and it's for if I need to tap a piece of wood in a joint or something like that. I'll use this because I don't want to dent the wood, and it's called a soft blow hammer, and I use that quite often. The next one here is a simple brass head. You can't really see the brass, I imagine, unless I hold it really close, but this is a solid brass head, which makes it a little softer for hitting things that you don't want to damage with the hammer. Maybe a plain blade if you want, or something like that. And then I have this one, which is a heavy blow hammer. And what I got this from years ago, this is Basa hammer, B-A-S-A hammer. And this middle part here, again, is brass, and it's encased in this opening. And this was from my old Triumph. Had wheels that the hub you had to knock off. They were knockoff hubs in order to take the wheel off. And so that was what I'd used to do the knockoff of it. I very rarely use that hammer at all. I don't get rid of it because I don't really see the need. But these two hammers I use quite often. And then we start getting into assorted other ones. So while I'm here at this point, let me show you these mallets. These are different mallets. This one here is made of apple. I had an apple tree, had a bad limb on it, had to take it off. And I thought I was being very cool by leaving this sort of live edge on it, which is a flat area. And after a few years, that's starting to peel off, as you can tell. But it was really just a fun little project. It's a very lightweight mallet, and I only use it when I'm doing something, a little carving on something, on a soft wood or something, and I just want to tap the chisel very gently. All of this portion here is unnecessary, but kind of fun, and it fit my hand well. That was the whole deal with that. And probably I may someday just take this off and return the head, but I do use it, and otherwise that stuff wouldn't be peeling. And then this mallet, this is a chestnut mallet, the head, and it's probably 150 years old. And a friend of mine, John Hess, who was in his 80s at the time, had brought me it and wanted me to make him a new handle for it. The handle had broken, and this has seen a lot of use. You can see, but it's such a dense hard wood that it doesn't damage it very much. So unfortunately, he had a stroke and he passed away 25 years ago, this was. And this sat in my shop for years and years and years, and so I decided I would make the handle that he'd asked for. And so I still own it, and it's got an ash handle that I made. And in this case, this part here does not go all the way through it. You can see that the part that goes through it is a little bit smaller. But what I did was, it doesn't even require a wedge. It has never moved. I made a nice tight fit. But then down here, what I did was, because this is round, is after I turned all this, I came in and undercut that part that comes out. So this is actually sitting on the outside, and then that centerpiece goes all the way through it. And I made it a simple little handle, and it's got quite a bit of weight to it, being chestnut, and it really, I use it quite often. I like it a lot. I enjoy using it. So this one here, this is my beading mallet. This is a tough mallet, and I use it only when I really want to drive something home and I need a lot of force it's an interesting piece of wood. It's walnut, and I had this burl or knot. You can see it over here in this area here, and then if I turn it this way, you might be able to see. There's the burl, so the grain of the wood is coming down through here, and it's swirling right here, and out of that came a branch, and this is the end grain of that branch. So you have long grain and end grain. So made that the face of it. This check here has been there for 40 years. And I liked all of the sort of features, including the wood borers and stuff. I liked leaving all of that. And then the handle, I sort of roughly shaped so it fit my hand, but it's large, it's massive, and so when you hit something with this is not going to give, it's going to give, and so that's why I call it my beater. But every once in a while, if I really need to drive something home, and I want to use wood on wood, then this is the one that I use, and it's probably around 14 inches long, and the handle is a bit fat, but I have large hands. So anyway, that's my go-to if I need something persuaded to go in. That's, I guess, the persuader. And then this mallet was a gift to me. It was a girl that lived with me. We shared a house. The house had 2 apartments, and she was in the back. We worked on films together. I haven't seen her in years, Karen Richardson. And she took a boat building course over in England at a famous boat building school there. And this was one of their earliest projects that they had to make. And she did. She made this. And when she came back to the States, she gave it to me as a present. It shrunk a little. The handle shrunk a little over the years, so the head got a little loose. So what I did was I just cut a little shim in there. And basically the way these mallets work is the more you swing them, the centrifugal force of the head drives it forward. So it's self-tightening the more you use it up to a certain point. And this got to the point where this was not wide enough for this to stay on. So I just put a little wood shim in there, and it works beautifully. And of course the grain on here is coming across here. So this is end grain and end grain. And it's interesting because this reminds me of Karen. The chestnut one always reminds me of John Hess, and so they're not just tools; they sort of bring back some memories of old friends, which I like. The next one is brings me memories of my father. I asked my father some 40 years ago. He'd made a little mallet for I think my sister or something, and I asked him to make me one because he had a nice big chunk of dogwood. This is dogwood. Now Karen's mallet is maple, but this dogwood has a really nice weight, and he's got a nice bevel to it here. So when you use it and you bring it down, this is actually winds up being straight. He put a big honeycomb sort of handle on it, and here you can see where he turned it on the lathe. And I've been using this for some 30 years. It's a tough mallet, and dogwood is a beautiful wood for a mallet if you think about making one. But so this one here reminds me of my father. There's always some sort of tie with a lot of my tools to old friends and family. So going back to hammers, this is just a simple true temper, and I just always considered this hammer to be used for stonework or that sort of thing. I take it out with me. I don't know exactly. I'd have to really look it up to tell you what the differences in these are. This hammer here is much older. This is a Stanley hammer, and this one was my grandfather's, and and you can see the differences in the shapes. I use this every once in a while if I go out hunting rock. And then this is what I consider a little sledge, and you can tell these I don't use very much. Somebody here had put a nail in there in order to hold this handle on. And the thing is that as much as this is really not a very usable hammer because of that, I like it. I like the charm of it. It has a story to tell. And I like the shape of it, how well worn it was. I think that this may have been more pointed at one time. But I like that the handle is sort of just a hand-hewn handle, that whoever owned this used it, and so I've never changed that. I really would hate to lose its history. Somebody's used this side to hit something with, and that side, and it's had a lot of abuse and a lot of use. But to me, there's something charming about that whole thing. Now, here's my actual S-wing. This is when I go out, when I'm rock hunting and stuff. This is the one that I'll use, and it's a tough steel all the way through. S-wing makes great hammers. So that's really the actual one that I use, and I'll have to look up and see what this one is. This Stanley. It could be for slaters or something. I don't really know. I'm not an expert on hammers. But this one here, again, was my grandfather's. So when I use that at all, that brings me back thoughts of my grandfather, who was born in 1886. So he was probably using that in the 1920s or 30s. And then this massive one here is one I like. I have two of these. They're S-wings, little miniature sledges, but they work just, it's a great little sledge. And for putting in posts in the garden or something like that is when I'll use that. This is another interesting one. They couldn't be more dusty, but I didn't do any preparation for this video. And it's interesting because it looks like it's stacked leather, the way the lines are there, but it's not. It's a lightweight wood. Somebody who is not a very good turner made this on a lathe, and these are the striations. Maybe he did it as a decorative thing, or I don't know. But it's a very lightweight hammer or mallet, and that's fine. This does not go all the way through, so it's not wedged at all. I would have to venture a guess as to how deep this is, but I can tell that it starts to get smaller right there. So I imagine that it's not much bigger than what we're seeing here. But I like it. I have no idea who made it. I don't even remember where I got it, but I've had it for many, many years. And every once in a while, when I need a very lightweight mallet that I don't want to hurt anything with, I'll use that one every once in a while. This is a little crazy, is how many I have here. Here's another Ballpeen hammer, and this one was very rusted. It's very pitted. I cleaned it up. I'm not really sure where I got it. It may have been in my father's toolboxes. He had a lot of stuff in his shop that were in buckets and stuff, and he didn't really care for them too much, and so a lot of them were very rusted, and so I cleaned it up as best I can. It's got a nice little weight, but I really don't use that little hammer there. This one is a chasing hammer, a jeweler's hammer, and this one here is one that my father made the handle for. You can see the shape there. It is wedged in there, but then it gets wider, and then the piece that goes through is smaller, and it could probably also use some cleaning up. This should really be a little more slightly rounded, but I think there was so much pitting on it that it came off. But it has a beautiful, very elegant, slender handle, which I like. Rarely use it. It was my mother's. My mother made jewelry, and so my mother had a lot of jeweler's tools. This is a cute little hammer here. No name on it, no maker on it. Classic shape. This little piece being wedged out like that. Cute little hammer. These are all hammers that I really don't use, and some maybe I should sell and get rid of. This is a more modern version, and this one here has a little place in the back that's got other tools that can be used with this head. So it's a multi-purpose tool, multi-tool. Plastic here. Don't know who made it. So you'd undo this, and then you can take the hammer part out and switch it for a screwdriver or something like that. Some of these tools people will give me, and I can't bear to throw them away. And here's a prime example of one that should probably be thrown away, but I like it. The reason it should be thrown away is that it's missing the other part of the claw there. But once again, I guess that's the hoarder in me, not willing to pass that off into a trash can. And I know I'll never fix it or anything, but it'll still work as a hammer, I suppose. It's maybe taking up more space than I need. And this one here is a really cheap little hammer. It's interesting that I put my initials on it, so I must have had it in my toolbox at the movie studio, and so I could identify it. Not that there's too many people that are going to show up with a yellow-handled hammer. So, but it's still here after I don't know how many years, and this is one little set of hammers here that I rarely would ever use, but can't bear to throw them away. These two I use a lot. Now these are leather heads, and these are my favorite tools if I'm using a wooden plane and I want to adjust the iron on it. This is what I will use, and they're rawhide heads, and I don't know if I can show it to you, but basically they're coiled. Here you can see the end of the piece of rawhide, and here you can see how it's been coiled and coiled and coiled. This one here, they must have had some system for doing it that you don't have any screws in the bottom holding it, but this one here does, to keep the rawhide from unraveling. This has an ash handle. No, I'm sorry. I think this is beech, and this one's maple. But these I use a lot. Lightweight hammers. They won't damage your plane. If you need to tap the front or the back of the plane, these are the hammers that I use because I don't want to damage one tool with another. I've decided that I shouldn't go on and do the rest of those hammers that are above me here, because it'll take way too long. So let me show you these hammers, and we'll make that it for this video, and I'll do another video with these. This hammer is interesting, and it's got that shape that I was talking about. See that sort of fanning out shape, and it is the markings on it. It does say it's warranted, but I can't make out the name of the manufacturer. This is a really nicely balanced hammer. And I remember my father was talking about different hammers that he liked to use for carpentry mostly, but he wanted to make sure that it had a certain balance to it, and this one here really has a nice balance. This has been around for quite a few years, and I suspect my father, in order to tighten up the handle, put a screw in there. I don't know why he would have done that, but he did, or somebody before him did. But it's a tight handle, It's nice and comfortable. It's a one of my favorites to use. The next one here is a special one, and it's interesting that this one here also has a little screw in there instead of a wedge, and the handle is very old and has got some pieces out of it and stuff, but I wouldn't change it and put a new handle on it for anything. I don't see any reason to. I cut away because I wanted to go get a nail to show you how this hammer works. This is a hammer by Cheney, C-H-E-N-E-Y. Cheney, not sure how it's really pronounced. But it's an interesting hammer. It has these two ball bearings in here and a slot, and it will take a nail like that, so you can pop the nail in and then remove the hammer and finish driving the nail. This was a patent, I believe, sometime in 1880, around that time period. But it's got two sprung ball bearings in here, and there's a little screw. I don't know how hard it is to see, but that screw in there keeps the pressure of one ball bearing tight against the other, so when you put the nail in, it goes in between the two ball bearings, and that holds it in place so it won't drop out of your hammer. You can reach up high, hammer in something, and then withdraw it. And so I wanted to show you that. So that was the little break in there in the edit. So this is one of my favorite hammers to have. The next one is even more oddball. Okay, so here this is. This is a massively heavy hammer. I got it from a guy named Al Westmoreland in Wilmington, North Carolina. He was a big collector, tool collector, and this was in his collection. I assumed that it's made by somebody who had a forge or something, or a method for casting it. I don't know how he did it, but it has the name Waddell on it here. Interesting shape for a hammer. This is almost like an anvil on this side here, and I imagine that if you put this into some sort of socket, you could bend things over with it. You could use this portion here for prying. It could use to pry something open, and this portion here has the groove in it so that you could use it for pulling out a tack or something like that. It's fairly heavy, and it's got a large round head and a slightly mounded face, just ever so slightly. The handle has been put in wedged, but never cut off the top, so I suspect he didn't feel the need for it. But it's very interesting. This is undercut to make this thinner, so I think this was machined afterwards to refine this prying edge. But I don't know. And it's got a nice weight to it. It's approximately 15 inches long from the top to the bottom of the handle. I've never seen another hammer like it ever. Waddell. I've been offered a couple $100 for it, and I've turned that down. But it's I believe it's a one of a kind. So this is the hammer that I'm going to exit this video with, and maybe I'll do another video about all these other hammers. But I think that I've probably bored you enough with the things that I've shown you. So until you come back and you see the rest of them, take care of yourselves, take care of your friends, stay safe, and get yourself some strange hammers. Talk to you later. Bye.